Dividend returns have been the unsung heroes, driving a whopping 40% of the entire S&P 500 returns since 1930. And during the 1940s, 70s, and 80s, when inflation was sky-high, dividends accounted for a staggering 54% of the total market return. So that leaves the questions. Is it wise to put all your eggs in the dividend stock basket? What are the pitfalls to watch out for when buying dividend stocks? And the big one, how much money do you need to live completely off dividend returns? Let's find out. Firstly, we need to decide how much our annual retirement spending will be so we can work backwards from there. In 2023, the median U.S. income hit $57,000, so that's what we'll use. Fidelity suggests to expect to spend between 55 and 80% of your income during retirement, so we'll use 70%. Getting 70% of our $57,000 salary leaves us with about $40,000. So that's the magic number we're aiming to achieve through dividend investments to fully support ourselves. To achieve this, let's understand what dividends are. Dividends refers to the distribution of corporate profits to shareholders. Typically, a company will offer a dividend payment when they feel they won't be able to get a better return by reinvesting these profits into the company, so it makes more sense to pay directly out to its shareholders. Say you invest in Apple stock, which has 0.5% dividend yield. That means you'll receive 4 quarterly dividend payments totaling 0.5% of the stock price. So taking the stock price of $191.94 and multiplying by 0.5%, we get 96 cents annually, or 24 cents each quarter. The average dividend yield of the S&P 500 hovers between 1.5 and 2%. However, there's a special list of stocks called the dividend aristocrats, which are part of the S&P 500 and have not only paid dividends each year for the last 25 years, but have actually increased their dividends each year. In fact, their average dividend yield is 2.8%. Make sure to subscribe to Wisdom Wave. It helps me out massively. Slower-growing, established companies often offer higher dividends compared to tech giants like Meta, Google, Amazon, and Netflix, who don't pay any dividends. Take a look at this table showing the S&P 500 companies with the largest dividend yields: Altria Group, Walgreens, Verizon, AT&T, and Truist Financial. But here's the kicker. High dividend yields often mean poorer stock price growth. Let's compare AT&T to Apple, for example. AT&T's 6.62% yield is much more than Apple's 0.5%. Yet Apple's stock surged 174,000% since 1984, while AT&T only managed a 348% return. This highlights the need to consider both dividends and growth when investing. Another thing to remember when buying dividend stocks is the concept of dividend reinvestment plans, or DRIPs. This is an arrangement allowing shareholders to automatically use the proceeds from dividends to purchase more shares in the company as soon as the dividends are paid out, potentially snowballing your investment over time. Now that we know how dividends work, let's weigh the pros and cons before we crunch the numbers for living solely off dividends. This helps you decide if dividend investing suits your financial strategy. On the bright side, dividend stocks are insulated from the market. Regardless of market swings, you can expect consistent payouts. They're much less volatile. During bull runs, they generally underperform the market, but during recessions, they outperform the market, offering a more steady, consistent, and predictable return. Interestingly, the average dividend cut is only 0.5% during recessions, compared to the S&P 500 average decline of 33.9%. There can also be tax perks. For example, for qualified dividends, you pay no tax on the first $44,000, assuming you have no other income. There's also some downsides to dividend stocks. Dividends are not guaranteed. Although companies generally avoid cutting dividends, it can happen. Also, falling stock prices pose a risk. Earning a good dividend yield means nothing if the price of the stock drops significantly in the same period. Take 3M, for instance, offering a 5.49% dividend yield. However, the stock price has dropped 43% in value over the past 5 years. Tax-wise, dividend stocks have drawbacks too. Unlike regular stocks that get taxed only when you sell, dividend payouts are taxed immediately when you received them. This could become a significant disadvantage depending on your tax bracket. Moving on to the calculations, let's see how much we need invested in dividend stocks to earn $40,000 annually. You can customize these calculations to match your personal situation. Assuming an average dividend yield of 2.8% from our dividend aristocrats mentioned earlier, we can divide our $40,000 by 2.8%, which gives us $1.4 million, which is the required amount invested in a dividend portfolio with a 2.8% yield to generate $40,000 annual income. Check out this table with these calculations for various dividend yields. At a 1% yield, you'd need $4 million invested, but at a 5% yield, just $800,000 would be enough. Are dividend stocks the right choice, or would growth stocks better suit your goals? Let me know in the comments. Check out this video on how much money you need to retire. Thanks for watching.